Like lots of folks in Tamarack County, White and Ojibwe, Grandma Dilsey had a secret blueberry patch known only to her and her family. A mile north of Alouette, she turned onto an old logging road that ran east toward a line of low hills known as the Turtlebacks. The woods were pine and spruce and maple, an impressionistic bleeding of greens, and with the cab windows rolled down, the air that poured in smelled fresh and hopeful to Cork. The forest didn't care about justice. It went about its business in the way it had since the beginning of time. If humans were fickle and not to be trusted, the red burst of wood lilies in a North Woods meadow could always be counted on to lift your spirits. Grandma Dilsey parked the truck at the edge of a bog. She grabbed the two metal pails that sat on the seat between her and Cork and got out. In the tall grass that rimmed the bog, she stood waiting for Cork, her face shaded by a broad-brimmed straw hat. When he joined her, she handed him a pail and without a word began circling the reedy marsh. Over the years, Cork had come with her many times in late July in search of the ripe berries. Usually his mother came too, and it was a multi-generational celebration of a tradition that stretched back even into his grandmother's own childhood. And here again, Cork thought, was a thing that didn't change. Except that this time, his mother hadn't come. The blueberry bushes grew in a large patch on the far side of the bog. The branches were splashed with berries that looked frosted in the morning sunlight. Wordlessly, Grandma Dilsey began picking, and Cork followed her lead. He had his pail 3/4 full when his grandmother said, "That's enough for now. We need to leave some for the birds and bears." Grandma Dilsey set the pails in the truck bed and climbed back into the cab. But she didn't start the engine. She sat for a minute. The sunlight warmed through the windshield, the rattle of a woodpecker coming from the trees, the fetid smell of the bog adrift in the air. "Grandma," Cork said. "Yes." "He's doing his best." Grandma Dilsey took a long time to respond. "It's not your father," she finally said, and turned her dark eyes to Cork. "But he's part of the problem." Cork gave a nod, but not in agreement. It was more because under her steady gaze, he felt mute and uncomfortable.